All right. I believe we are live. Okay. We are back and ready to talk a little bit more about a real good show that I'm enjoying a lot already. Season 3 of The Mandalorian. I am Chris Fagan here with T3 Medias, and I'll let my friend introduce himself and introduce his channel. And make sure you guys subscribe to it immediately after he finishes it. Go ahead, buddy.
Well, thank you, Chris. Thank you for having me on. My name is Ryan Cam. I've got my own YouTube channel just called Ryan Cam. Review movies, review some TV stuff sometimes. Currently on the road to John Wick Chapter 4 by reviewing all of the John Wick movies. John Wick 1 was dropped last Sunday, and John Wick Chapter 2 is coming this Sunday. It's been interesting watching those two, considering how far along we are in the John Wick story and how we're getting to Bill Skarsgård sitting at the high table and now we got Donnie Yen and like we got samurai stuff involved. It's all kinds of crazy, but it's been a lot of fun to go and rewatch. So definitely check that out. I've got the Life in the Movies podcast that I do with my good friend Jacob Martin. The episode just dropped today,
Mm.
actually. We did a bit of a late preview of all the movies coming out in the month of March, and that's always a lot of fun to go over those with him uh, because it's it's nice going over the ones that are like, yeah, definitely not seeing that, and then there are like two or three big fish where you're like, okay, yeah, that's definitely gonna clean up,
Right.
and it's a bit of an inside joke that because of Bruce Willis's very sad health diagnosis is like every other month that we do the preview, it's always another one of those straight to DVD or straight to streaming movies that he did. And it's just a shame at this point because of how he's doing now. But it's like ever since we started doing it in January of 2021,
Mm-hmm.
it's like we've covered at least five or six straight to TV or not TV, straight to DVD or streaming
Streaming.
Bruce Willis movies.
Right.
It's sad but funny, weirdly, all at the same time. Because, like I said, it really sucks what he's going through, but at the same time, it's like, how many detective nights did he do again?
Yeah.
So it's bizarre, but we Jacob and I do have a lot of fun over on that, and that drops every Wednesday.
Oh yeah, I think I know what you mean. It's like, yeah, like you say, it's sad what he's going through, but it's kind of an interesting way to celebrate his career, to see that he, just like other celebrities who like
Yeah.
Chadwick Boseman, for example, we didn't know what they were going through, but they still tried to crank out some more work before they can't do it anymore. And I understand that in Bruce Willis's case, people think are on the fence of it, whether it's good or bad, because some of the stories I remember they were saying that were they doing it for his benefit, or were they doing it for other people's benefits and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, he still has a long and good career. So that's cool that you guys are knocking those out and rocking with those. And I think you mentioned Donnie. Was it Yen? Donnie Yen. That reminds me of Rogue One, which leads us right back. There's the connective tissue to to Star Wars. So guys, we're gonna give our few thoughts, our recap, if you will, of Chapter 18, the Mines of Mandalore, and just overall, I just finished watching it today. I was hoping to get it out the way in time, and you said you got a chance to watch it this morning as well. We didn't want to do the 3 a.m. 4 a.m. review again, because we just couldn't handle it. But what overall, what do you think about Chapter 18?
Overall, I liked seeing the planet Mandalore. I liked the action sequences.
Mm-hmm.
I liked seeing I guess, the creatures of
Right.
Mandalore, for lack of a better word. I liked seeing the dark saber again. I liked bits and pieces, but I think overall I'm still sensing that the story is a bit directionless.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're only two episodes in, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm not writing it off completely. However, I feel like it was I feel like there are certainly intriguing things. I just was just like, come on, can we get to those already? But overall, I still think the episode was solid.
you feel like it was like maybe it's a slow burn. Maybe they're setting us up for something huge to happen.
Yeah.
At the end, or at least for us salty butthurt Star Wars fans, where everything has to be perfect. Yeah, it's like that season finale better knock our socks off, or else we're gonna riot. But I know how it can be. My overall thoughts were, because I tried to watch it, like I said last night before we started recording. I said that I tried to catch it when it premiered last night, but I kept falling asleep, and I was worried. I was like, am I bored already, or am I just tired? But so when I watched it again this morning, after getting a good night's sleep, I was just tired, because I'll say for this episode, the first half, not the first half, like the first 10 minutes of it, where we had Amy Sedaris, what's her character's name? Peli Motto, where she comes in, and I don't mind seeing her. I just, it's, I don't know why. I just was like, I don't know. I rolled my eyes a little bit, not because I'm sick of the character or anything like that. I just, like you were saying, I'm ready to kind of get into it. I wanted to pick up, and I felt like going back to Tatooine and seeing her again, and seeing how she was hustling and ripping off customers. I don't know why. I know the character. I know that's what she's all about. But why did it bug me? I was all into I felt like calling the Better Business Bureau for some reason. I was like, I felt like, really, you're hustling your customers. Where is your integrity, ma'am? But then I was like, what? Why am I bitching about that? That's who this character is. But I don't know why it bugged me. I felt like seeing her made me feel like we were off to a slower start, and I felt like we were kind of off to a slow start. I liked last episode, but I was a little worried about the pacing and where we were going. And then I felt like it was happening again, and I was like, oh no, is this going to be a boring episode? But by the time we got to Mandalore, I was happy. Everything that happened on that planet was amazing. So just to recap, Mando is heading to Mandalore to what did we say last week? To purify himself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka, just like in Purple Rain. He needs to go through the ritual, and the second he gets there, it's immediately a fight to survive. And I did not expect that. I thought maybe when he got to where he was going to be, that was going to be where a big bad was going to come out. But it was almost like a video game. He had to fight through stages to get to the final boss. What was your overall thoughts of how the planet was set up and what we saw there? Anything that stood out to you more than anything else?
Well, my experience with Mandalore has primarily been in Star Wars: The Clone Wars, where they handled it really well. And honestly, the whole saga of Mandalore could be its own standalone thing if they really wanted to go there. Considering Obi-Wan's relationship with the Duchess of Mandalore, I forget her name right now. I'm sure someone knows.
I know who you're talking about, yeah.
That relationship, how that was pretty much as close as Obi-Wan Kenobi got to actual loving another person, to the point where like slowing down and all of that. And that was very interesting. And then of course the Siege of Mandalore, which was, I believe, covered in the final season of the Clone Wars, and that was a whole thing. So honestly, I've been low-key excited to see what they would do with a Mandalore in something like, well, The Mandalorian, for lack of a better word. And I was very impressed. I like how hostile the world is, because literally, as soon as Mando goes into the atmosphere, it's literally like he's flying into a thunderstorm. It's a massive thunderstorm.
Yeah.
It's almost the planet saying, are you really sure you want to touch down here?
Yeah.
And so I thought that was a nice touch, and everything is just all crystallized, and really the only things living there are just things that, in the words of Stephen Lang from Avatar, want to kill you and use your eyes for jujubes.
Yeah, everything that I guess that survived the onslaught or the destruction of Mandalore were the most hostile creatures. And it's if I'm reading it right, Satine was the throne,
Satine.
the scene,
Yep.
yeah, Bo-Katan's sister.
Mm-hmm.
That was Obi-Wan's little girlfriend, I guess we can call her that, love interest, the Duchess Satine. Um, I I was hoping that, and I agree exactly with what you're saying. The whole planet was trying to reject Mandalore. Like this is not a place to touch down. You have no business here. And not only that, I love the fact that it was a pretty much like what's called a like a trap house is what they would call in certain hoods, where like all communication was cut off. There's only one way in, one way out kind of a situation, and with the second you're in, and there's no communicating, no way to call for help. If you if you fall or if you get captured, and that's it. There's no way to call for help. There's no communications out there. I thought that was interesting that the whole planet was so hostile now, and like you said, even the thunderstorm that you have to cut through to touch down. And by the time he did touch down, there was creatures there that was just wanting to eat him. Just everything wants to eat you and kill you. But I was surprised on how well, at least for me, how well the CGI or that was mostly CGI. I'm not there's no way that was practical. The creature that captured Mando, I was impressed by that. I did not expect how good that looked. I mean, for me, I thought the CGI on that was like movie level. I don't even know what that thing was called, but the thing creeped me out. The second I saw it, I was like, business really picked up, and I was locked in the whole time. And so I felt like this felt like a movie more than any other episode. I felt like I was watching something that could have been put on the big screen. That's just how I enjoyed it that much.
Yeah, from the second that Mando got into that mine and just how he descended, it kind of reminded me of an Indiana Jones movie, sort of, kind of.
That spelunking kind of that cave
Sort
dive.
of, yeah, because it's like he's like taking the layout of the land. He's like looking all over the place.
Mhm.
It's like all they needed was like a scene where he's like, stay out of the light or something like that, and
Yeah,
that didn't happen. But
yeah,
that would have been interesting. And that creature, like you said, it freaked me out. Like it was like a whoa. It kind of reminded me in like the OG 1977 Star Wars, the garbage creature, where
yes, because it had that one eye.
Luke is like, there's something alive in here, and
Yeah.
Han Solo is like, you're just making that up. And well, Luke wasn't, and he nearly drowned.
What if it turns out that was like a relative like species or the same exact species or something like that? Like like that would be interesting. Like that water creature that was in that trash compactor was actually from Mandalore or something like that. That was interesting how it just had one eye and but it had technology and it
Yeah.
set a trap that worked on Mando. Um, when he got captured and he said go to Bo-Katan. I thought that was very interesting because of how their conversation ended in the last episode. And even me and you, when we last talked about this, we're pretty much assuming that Bo-Katan might even be his big bad or his antagonist by the time this season is over. Are you still feeling that way after he had to call her for help and how it ended? Or do you still feel, is this like a WWE situation where there's tension in the beginning, it seems like a resolution that we're buddy now, everything's all good, and then something happens in a couple episodes where there's another misunderstanding, and then they're going to be at each other's throats again? Do you think that's how it's going to go?
Well, considering what we know about Bo-Katan's relationship with Mandalorian culture and Din's relationship with Mandalorian culture,
The
I
ideology.
said at the beginning of the stream that it felt kind of directionless, but I feel like, and this is just my theory,
Mm,
I feel like the big storyline is going to be Din and Bo-Katan in the same room together and basically having an ideological clash of
right.
what Mandalore is the best Mandalore. And like you said, I feel like a misunderstanding of some kind is going to be inevitable, just is like mega powers breaking up kind of stuff. I
Kind
feel
of
like that's
like on the Daredevil. I don't know if you saw the Netflix Daredevil season 2 when him and the Punisher were on the rooftop having that debate on how to
yeah,
handle criminals and stuff. Like, yeah, I agree with you
that was
on
the
that.
best part of that whole season.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, despite all the fights and the blood and the guts and everything, the debate between Punisher and Daredevil that was an amazing conversation, and I can see this going in that direction. The clash of his spirituality of being a Mandalorian, her being a royal, and everything. We already know how they feel about helmets, but when Grogu went to her for help and they were having that conversation on the way to Din, her realizing like you must be you know how she talked about Jedi and how Mandalorians and Jedi's have this history with each other, and I'm glad you reminded me about the whole thing about her sister being with Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it's because I forgot all about that. And so I'm wondering if that's what she was really tapping into when she's probably talking about overall how Jedi and Mandalorians have worked together, but maybe she was also thinking a little bit about Obi-Wan and her sister. But the thing that dawned on me was that I am now curious on whether the Mandalorian. We know the Mandalorian is Din, and we know that Grogu is becoming is a Mandalorian, I guess, or one in training now. But moving forward, I did not mind seeing Grogu with Bo-Katan.
No,
I don't. Am I alone in that?
no, I agree with you. My one hang up about Grogu in this episode, because you know most of the action is done by Grogu in this. He's doing flips and he's like using the Force full on now, and
Yeah.
it's really cool.
Yeah.
But just I took a bit of a step back as like a casual viewer, and I was like, how is Grogu doing this? Because I believe we talked about in the first stream how if you didn't watch Book of Boba Fett, then you're just like, all right, Grogu's going with Luke Skywalker,
Yeah,
and
and
all of a
you
sudden
don't
the
know
two
how
are back
long.
together.
I had to
Exactly.
read online that Dave Filoni or somebody said that was 2 years that he spent with Luke. So we don't. I mean, based on I guess how old Grogu is, and we don't know how many years he spent training in the temples with the Jedi, and how much training that he actually got, and then that extended training that he got with Luke Skywalker. But it was interesting to see that right after that, now he's flipping out of vehicles now instead of just crawling out and things like that. So I guess they were trying to show us that he did get some training in there, or a refresher of what because technically Grogu's been a Jedi longer than Luke, or Jedi in training longer than Luke, but Luke is Luke. But
Yeah, sure.
but that, I get what you're saying. If you didn't see everything that happened in the Book of Boba Fett, and if you didn't read what Dave Filoni said about how long Grogu was away from Din, it was visually. Yeah, you're right. I agree with you on that one. Going into the Bo-Katan and finally and rescuing Din. What did you think about the fact that the Mandalorian still cannot control that black saber, the dark saber?
Well, it seems like it's implied that it was always meant for Bo-Katan,
Yeah,
because a little detail, Din, when he uses it, he's using that thing like a medieval broadsword. It's like heavy strokes, and when he uses it, it's almost like there's a massive recoil on it.
yeah.
But I noticed in this episode when Bo used it, it was a lot easier for her. And
It was almost like
even
she was
though
fencing. She was very graceful with it, and I think we
exactly,
saw that in the Rebel series as well when she wielded it. Then she knows the sword knows her.
yeah. And so I guess to pull a bit of a Harry Potter reference, in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part Two, when Voldemort used the Elder Wand to take out the shield around Hogwarts,
Mm-hmm.
you'll notice that the wand cracked a little bit.
Okay.
And basically, have you seen the movie?
Oh no,
Am I
I've
spoil?
seen all the Harry Potter movies. I just can't remember them.
Oh, I was gonna say, I'm like, wait, I don't want to spoil anything for this guy. He's only had me on my channel twice.
No, yeah, no, I've seen them all. It's just those little details. I couldn't remember that. But yeah, go
So
ahead.
like the wand cracks,
Hmm.
and the Elder Wand, basically how it works is that it has to be one, basically one in a duel.
Right.
So when Dumbledore, I believe, defeated Grindelwald,
Hmm.
it became his, and Dumbledore never lost it, and so when Voldemort uses it, the wand almost rebels against
Against them.
Voldemort.
Okay.
And when Snape dies, Snape is killed, Voldemort does it under the impression that the last person who defeated Dumbledore, which was Snape, basically, if Snape is out of the picture, then it becomes his. Well, that was not the
That's the
case. And
case.
it
Yeah.
was is a bit convoluted, but basically, in the end, it was Harry's wand the whole time. So I guess where I'm going with this reference is that the Darksaber kind of knows who its master really
And
is, and
and
I
I
think it's
wonder. Well, if I remember correctly, it was. I think it's based on what is in the wielder's heart or in his head. If there's, if I'm remembering correctly, I think there's like some kind of a mental block that's preventing Mando from properly wielding it. And if it's that, or if it's that the sword itself has something where it's choosing its wielder. Either way it goes, we're getting the same results. Mando is just not able to handle this responsibility as well as we obviously see that Bo-Katan can. And it's funny to me that Bo-Katan feels like all of the tribe of Mandalorians that Mando was raised by. They feel like they're too spiritual. They're too those old cult like traditions are a bunch of hocus pocus, and she's ignoring it. But she knows for a fact that the legacy and the legend behind that sword is to be respected, and she respects that. So there's some traditions that she's not scoffing at 100%. Either that, or she just knows that everybody else is too superstitious, and there's no point of even bucking the system because nobody is going to follow her unless she follows those basic rules. I understand her frustration because, like we're saying, it seems like she's the one. Like if season 3 were to end with Mando disappearing or dying, and I could see Bo-Katan becoming the head of the show. I wouldn't mind it for maybe a couple of episodes, not forever. I like Pedro Pascal in this, but I'm thinking maybe for a couple of episodes. I wouldn't mind seeing let me date myself. The way Lucy Lawless, when she got hurt and she couldn't play her Xena character for a little while, they had another actress who played Callisto, Xena's greatest enemy. They had them switch bodies and had that actress play Xena for a couple of episodes until Lucy Lawless got well again. And I'm wondering if that's what they're gonna kind of do. Like, is Mando gonna be put to the side for a while, or go off, and Grogu's gonna go with her? Are they gonna have this big blowout and Grogu? No. What I'm saying is dumb because Grogu's loyal to that's his dad, and even she knows that.
yeah.
That's so no. So yeah. Now if they have a fight, I'm pretty sure Grogu's gonna use the Force and end it. Getting to the end of the episode when all the mini boss stages were cleared out, and it's time to finally get into that water and take the oath. She stands by, and I don't know why. I just thought that maybe he just took a misstep and just fell into some deep water. It did not dawn on me that something dragged him under there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, I mean, it's been thousands of years, so I mean, I'm sure the electric bill hasn't been paid in a minute, but
Right.
like, what happened there? No, sure enough, it shook me a bit. It was like, may these healing waters cleanse me. And
Yeah.
then when he gets taken down, I'm like,
And
man,
there was
that must be
nothing. Even when she
it,
followed, she could see nothing. I was like, what
she had to
happened?
turn on her little flashlight to
Right.
see anything. And
And
also, shout out to the creature design on that like water like Loch Ness monster looking thing. Because when I saw that, I'm like, good Lord, that thing
that
looks
thing
kind of
looked amazing.
freaky.
I'm like, dude, everything about that episode, it felt. I mean, Disney put some money into that episode. Let me see if I can pull it up here on the screen. Let me see if I can. Where is it? Topic. There we go. Let's see if I can. If I
Like
can
I
put.
know in season one there was that episode where Mando had to fight off those spider-looking creatures.
Mhm.
Of that season, that's the episode that people kind of liked the least. I've always liked that episode personally. I felt like it was a bit of an Aliens homage, and I did appreciate that.
Let's see if I got if this is the right episode. Yeah. So let me move us to the side just a little bit so I can read this over here. Get us out of the way for a second because I didn't know it didn't even though they talked about it, it didn't dawn on me what that creature could be. And I had to look it up. And I totally forgot what they talked about of and what happened in the old in the when they talked about this in other law. I won't be you won't be able to see it that well on the screen. So let me get into it and see if that makes it bigger. It's kind of hard to read, but I'll read it out myself anyway. But for those like me who didn't know what that was, it says, let's see, okay, what the creature at the end of Mandalorian season 3 episode 2 is. The Mandalorian season 3 episode 2 revealed an ancient mythosaur of Mandalore are not extinct after all, giving the Mandalorians hope at last. The Mandalorian season 3 episode 2 dramatic ending confirms the legendary creatures known as the mythosaur are still alive. When Mandalore fell under the Imperial when Mandalore fell under Imperial bombardment, an event called the Night of a Thousand Tears, the surviving Mandalorians were scattered all across the galaxy. It's unclear just how many Mandalorians are at large, but many seem to have returned to the ancient ways, clinging to the lore that had seemingly been abandoned before the Purge. It's easy to understand why they have done this. They have clung on to the ways of the Mandalore, seeking to redefine themselves now that they have lost their homeworld. And that makes more sense why Bo-Katan is kind of rebelling against that, because she's holding on to the royalty, and she kind of even mentioned that how that her and her father, and that they had those ceremonies and whatnot. So I'm not surprised that she's not clinging on to the old ways like the other Mandalorians are, because she's trying to gain back her power. She feels like she's missing out on her rightful place on her throne. One of the most important traditions stated in the that Mandalorians cannot remove the helmet. Okay, so it's just recapping what we already know. Okay, reveals the mythosaur still exists. Viewers were well recognized these distinctive creatures as the legendary mythosaurs of Mandalore, massive creatures that have been referenced several times in Star Wars canon. The shape of a mythosaur's skull is the symbol of the Mandalorian, and can be seen displayed at the Armorer's Forge in The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 1.
Okay.
Back in Season 1, and the ill-fated Quill teased Din for struggling to ride his blurg. Your ancestors rode the great mythosaurs, he quipped. Surely you can ride this young fool. Oh, okay, young fool. Oh, yeah, I remember that.
I
So
have spoken.
the fact that the creature that the creature is still alive. Now, I guess once word gets back to the other Mandalorians all over, will so do you think that there's gonna be a great return? Do you think they're gonna start coming back to the planet?
Well, keep in mind that Din is still kind of on the kind of on the shit list with the head of Mandalore currently, the the armorer, the you know who I'm talking about,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So he's kind of
For removing his helmet. Yeah. But
exactly.
didn't they complete the tradition? I know the dragon dragged him down, but didn't he technically do it?
I'm sure that there will be some within the inner circle who are like, yeah, I'm not believing it until I see it. So I think there's going to be I think there's going to be some friction there.
It says here that the return of the Mythosaur, the Mandalorian season 3, episode 2, clearly indicates the prophecy is in play. The Empire thought they had sterilized Mandalore, bombarding the planet from orbit until its entire surface had been reduced to glass, a punishment known as glassing. But Mandalore has not been glassed, with the fusion bombs only scarring the planet's surface. Deep beneath, in its caves and catacombs of Mandalore, life still flourishes. Even the mythosaur still exists, slumbering rather than extinct. The discovery really does change everything, providing hope for the scattered Mandalorian survivors. And this is according to Screen Rant. So the sword, the dark saber, the mythosaurs are still around. Are we still in do we still feel that Bo-Katan and Mando still have to have this big clash?
I think so, and
You're still there?
I think really the pieces of this puzzle with the dark saber and the mythosaur still existing, the pieces of the puzzle are on the table. They
Yeah.
are just not arranged properly,
Right.
and I think if this season plays the cards right, then I think we'll start getting more pieces like the start off with the edges and work your way into the middle.
I I think that this was a fabulous episode. I thought that episode one was, even though there were some dark things that happened, it still felt like a lighthearted kind of an episode. I was afraid that this episode was going to do the same thing, but and maybe it's not fair because I think now that we're getting so much blood and guts with The Last of Us with Pedro Pascal, I think people are comparing it now or comparing it with the darkness of Andor. But
Yeah.
I think this episode, even though, like you said, the mystery or the pieces are in place, we don't know where it's going to go. But I think this was a step in a better direction. I like this episode way more than I like the first episode, but I like this one way more. I feel like the path that's being laid forward is very exciting, and I'm looking forward to finishing out this. I was just hoping that I was not getting bored of The Mandalorian, but I am not. I am not. I am enjoying it.
Yeah, so far, me too, and I totally agree with you. It's interesting to bring up The Last of Us, and I think mostly because, well, Pedro Pascal, like he's in both shows, he's the lead in both shows.
Mm.
I'm pretty sure his calendar when he's not shooting consists of, all right, 8 a.m., count my money, 9 a.m., count my money, 10
Mm.
a.m., count my money. So,
Exactly.
like, he's doing good, that's what I'll say. But, I was kind of thinking about it, and considering The Last of Us, I wonder how long he's going to be around the Mandalorian. Because, I mean, for right now, I mean, he is the face of that, but he is also Joel in The Last of Us. So he's the lead of two of the biggest TV shows going right now. And I
Something
imagine,
and two very very successful TV series, and that is a very rare thing in TV. That's very rare.
yeah, 100%. And it kind of leads me to believe maybe his days are numbered, because, well, I know what happens to him in The Last of Us, and
Yeah.
because I've seen walkthroughs of the game, and I won't spoil it here in case anyone watching, or Chris, you haven't don't know. I won't say anything else, but it kind of makes you think someone is going to, like, all right, Pedro, you're going to have to make a difficult choice. And so it's going to be interesting to see when it comes to both of these shows how much longer he's going to stick around.
Exactly, it depends on how much they're going to want to try to drag it. If there was a problem, and I remember hearing that there were a few hurdles that he had to go through to audition for a Warner Brothers property on HBO for The Last of Us, and he cleared those hurdles. If he was not allowed, he wouldn't even have gotten the role. So and that's why I'm curious on whether or not there will be a stretch, if not a whole season here and there, where we won't see Din or we won't see Joel, not because they've removed the character from the show, but almost like with Rick from The Walking Dead, how towards the end, like he pulled away and but he could still kind of return. If they ever pull that trigger, I'm just curious. I don't know. I still have it. I have an itch in the back of my brain that seeing Grogu do missions with a different, or a rescue mission with a different Mandalorian, was them setting groundwork or trying to test the waters. How do you feel about, as the audience, how do you feel about this? Maybe for a couple episodes, not a whole season, or maybe a whole season. I don't know why. I just feel like they're testing it out just in case if they have to go that route, they'll have that option. But
I feel like there's some on the side stuff to where they may have to prepare for a life without Pedro Pascal. I think
right.
that's what you're saying, and I think that was my point, because like you said, an actor being the head of not one but two TV shows that are just on the top of their game. Last of Us was increasing in viewers, and I don't know what the exact figures are right now, but it's like episode on episode, it's just getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah,
I
definitely
would imagine like his agent or someone in his inner circle is going to be like, some difficult choices are going to have to be made. So I think maybe Dave Filoni or Jon Favreau or one of them I think they're going to start preparing for a future, whether they need to break it out or not. They're going to start preparing for a future, whether they continue The Mandalorian or go on to somewhere else where Pedro Pascal is no longer in the picture.
Well, if the audience still loves it, and if it makes sense with the story, and if it doesn't conflict with scheduling, I don't see there being a problem, because it's not like those two audience really have that much crossover. I mean, you're going to have your Pedro Pascal fans, you're going to have your video game, you're going to have your Star Wars fans, and you're going to have your Last of Us. There is a lot of overlap with the fans, but not as much as as I would think. I mean, there's still people who will never ever watch anything on Disney Plus, but and there's people who never who only love Disney Plus and will never get HBO Max. But I don't know. I feel like as long as it doesn't conflict with scheduling, I feel like he'll be all right. Now as far as his schedule for being clear for like other projects like movies and things like that, now that I'm wondering, because I know he's now going to be in higher demand. He became more sought after, in higher demand after The Mandalorian, and now that he's got another hit show, especially where his face is being seen a lot more, I'm sure those phone calls, those scripts that are coming his way have just tripled or times 10. I don't know what I'm sure he's fighting off. He's probably at a point of his career now that he's rejecting scripts now, and like, nah, I'll pass on that. So I'm curious. I'm curious if there's a clause in his agreement where he can pull that trigger, and they can, like, I need to take some time away so I want to do this passion project, and they'll go, okay, we'll just activate Bo-Katan taking the reins for a little bit, or we'll do something different in The Last of Us, where Ellie is the focus and what. But I know what you're leading at. I won't spoil it either for anybody who watches this. I hadn't finished the game, but I am aware of what happens. But there's multiple ways to to have a character, to not have the focus on a certain character for a little while, just and then they come back in the future again. And I'm pretty sure. I don't know why. I just feel like it's going to happen. I feel like Grogu and Bo-Katan are going to go off on some side adventures for a little bit, and then he'll reunite with his dad later or something like that. I feel like this is a testing the waters thing. If that happens, I love it because I love the actress who plays Bo-Katan. I always love watching her on YouTube. You'll see her a lot on Christian Harloff's YouTube channel. If anybody out there knows who Christian Harloff is, go check that out. She was just on his channel again. Because they're friends. I love her as an actress. But other than that, anything else that you wanted to bring up for this episode, or anything the future thoughts of next week?
Well, one more note that I did have. I just looked up how long the season is. It is 8 episodes.
Okay.
And we are on episode 2.
Okay.
And a lot can happen, especially because we are like 1/4 of the way in. Like, I suck at math, so I think my 1/4 might be a bit off, but we are officially like a quarter of the way into this season. And so like we can speculate as much as we want, but really it all is going to come down to what happens next week. And I honestly kind of forgot that season 3 was dropping before, like a week before it was happening. I was like, wow, no one told me that. But
yeah.
Honestly, I'm kind of shocked at how much I liked this episode in particular. First one was good. It could have been better. This one where I was like, this
one's like, that is the way.
Yeah. The first one was like a welcome back. And this one was like, all right, now here's where we're taking.
Yeah, it's interesting when the highlight of an episode is seeing Grogu spin around in a chair, because that's pretty much the most. I was like, okay, it was just an okay episode. But this one was to me a great episode. This was a great episode. So, and hopefully that's the way forward for the rest of the season. I'm hoping the season sticks the landing. I'm calling it now. A huge Mandalorian civil war between the people that are loyal to Bo-Katan and Mando's clan of that cult of Mandalorians. It's gonna be a big blowout. And then the dragon is gonna be the one that's gonna referee it, call it down the middle, and okay, and you're a winner. And then the dragon will be the one who chooses the leader. I don't know. I'm just speculating. But guys, that'll do it for this recap of Chapter 18, The Minds of Mandalore. I think we both are in agreement. Solid, awesome episode. I had a lot of fun with it. Can't wait to see what's going on next time. I had the chats on, but the only chat that we got was somebody promoting something. Hey, if you followers, view, chat bots, the price, that's somebody. So that's nothing there. But guys, so if you catch up with this recap later on, if you want to send your questions, your theories, your thoughts about the show in the chat box below, just do that, and maybe we'll address it in next week's recap. So we'll see you guys next week. If anybody out there who also loves The Mandalorian wants to join us on these recap shows, I guess, what do you think? Should we keep it to the night of the premiere instead of early in the morning, 8 o'clock? 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. That night. Give us some chance to decompress and get some sleep and some rest and watch it, and review it. So guys, anybody that's out there that also wants to join in, this is the time that we're gonna do a recap. I'll send some messages out there to other YouTubers out there or Star Wars fans alike, and maybe we can get a good panel of fans to talk about this. I'm enjoying it. So I'll sign off. I'm Chris Fagan here with Talking Through the Media's YouTube channel, and you can also catch me on the Rundown Thursday when my crew we talk entertainment news, we do a couple of movie reviews, and we might have a game or two. I don't want to say too much because one of them's listening, so I have a surprise, and I'm gonna throw that in. So catch us live tomorrow, Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And Ryan, if they want to find you again, let's just do a shout out to your channel again. You guys hit that subscribe button to Ryan's channel.
So my channel's just called Ryan Cam. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Ryan Cam 20.
Mhm.
Like I said on my channel, got Life in the Movies podcast dropping every Wednesday with my co-host Jacob Martin, and then I try and cover at least one new release a week. This past week was Creed 3, which I loved. I thought the movie was fantastic.
Awesome.
And I've got a bit of a supplementary video coming up to that. It's not a spoiler-filled video, but the first, like, it was one of, like, it was a wretched theater experience seeing it. Basically, give a bit of a teaser. It's three teenagers fighting over a Slurpee. I kid you not. So that'll be detailed in the video. It's going to be dropping. It's going to be dropping either Thursday or Friday. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, that's just a sampling of what's coming up.
Awesome. And speaking about Creed 3, I was gonna talk a little bit about that tomorrow on my show as well. I'm getting a lot of comments on social media about how the legacy of Apollo is being sullied because the Adonis character was how he was conceived, and I'm like, I might disagree with that. I know where a lot of people's hearts are on that topic, but I'm gonna go deeper into it tomorrow on my show. So guys, look out for that. We're gonna be debating is Apollo's legacy being sullied because he had a little extramarital situation, kind of that's the debate.
I'll throw my 2 cents in if
What you
that's
got?
allowed. I kind of knew. I thought it was already established that Adonis Creed was kind of a product of another affair.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah. They mentioned that on part one, but now that it's being brought up again, does that make Apollo's legacy? You got another. Why did you have to make him have to have an affair instead of just having Adonis be one of his kids inside that marriage, kind of a thing? Does it sully Apollo's good name, kind of a thing? I'm like, oh, unless he was just. I mean, real quick, I'll just say this: didn't he seem a little like a flashy type of celebrity type of boxer? I mean,
yeah, I was going to say
athletes
if you
do that.
if you watch Rocky 1 and 2, especially number 1,
Yeah.
like, he had a bit of like a Conor McGregor vibe.
Yeah.
Like, he was the number 1 in combat sports. He got all the cars, he was married, of course, but
the women still came after him.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not too beyond the pale. I mean, and literally one of the themes of the first Creed movie was, Adonis literally says in a line, and it's my favorite line of the movie, "I have to prove that I am not a mistake." And it is like that whole theme of Adonis proving to himself.
It made it more compelling. And not to go into that's the kind of the thing that we're going to talk about tomorrow when we discuss. That's one of the things. So yeah, if you have time, if you want to check it out, I'd love to get more of your thoughts on that as well, because we're going to go a little bit deeper into that as far as other things as well. But that's the show, guys. Appreciate it. I'm about to sign off. I got some dinner to eat. I am starving. I'm about to decompress. I appreciate you, Ryan, for joining me again, and let's do it again next week. Let's see if we can invite some more people on the panel and try to see if we can make this into a party.
Oh, I love the sound of that.
All right, buddy. All right, guys, I'm gonna sign off for now, and have a good one until next week. May the force be with you.